Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Cinnamon and Spice Podcast.
Okay, we're ain't sweet.
Not a dang thing. I'm Ott.
And I'm 9.
Yes, and happy Pride Month.
Yes.
Thought we would follow up. We celebrated men's mental health on the last episode.
Go check that out if you haven't already.
Yes, go watch that. So I think it was only right to follow up because it also is Pride Month. So, yeah. I think we both have people within the community in our lives, so of course we wanted to, give y'all's flowers as well. So like, what is Pride Month for you, Naja? Or do you even really know what Pride Month is? I mean, I feel like you do, but...
Yeah, I would say Pride Month for me, that's more so like, to be a great time to honor and like, just be a little bit more supportive to your friends or family that's within the community. Mm-hmm. Be a great time to like help push like
support.
but like supportive actions like whether that's attending like their like protest or like doing things like going to their like Pride Month festivals, just showing support and solidarity too.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. To me, that same, and then just honoring the contributions that they have made for like their community, the world. I think a lot has changed over the decades when it comes to the LGBTQ community. So yeah, like I think all of that is what Pride Month is all about, for sure.
Yeah, so do you support gay love?
Of course. Of course. As someone who as a woman who loves women, all women, not all women, but let me take that back. Just as a woman who loves women, who finds herself attracted to women sometimes, and who has a lot of people in the LGBTQ community in my life, I definitely support gay love, for sure. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't cancel us, y'all. It's not that type of pod. It's not that type of pod, okay? We're allies.
Yeah, no, most
definitely.
Okay?
Yes, we're allies. Do you think the educational system should be like more of a safe space to talk about the LGBTQ community, like with kids and stuff?
I think so. I think when people try to do things like shelter kids from like just life, it doesn't do anything but hurt them in the long run. Yeah. Because now it's taking them longer to catch up to what they could have already
been aware of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
I think kids being aware of certain things is better. Just them being like not being ignorant of certain things is way better, like you said. Especially like because at one point they were like trying to ban like drag shows or something, and I'm like, I feel like they worry too much about that aspect when it comes to like children in the education system than gun control. Like y'all care more about if these kids are like exposed to same-sex marriage or whatever relationships than if they're safe in school, and that gets real weird to me. So I do wish they had more of an open space. I feel like in some states maybe they are becoming more progressive, like California obviously is a very progressive state, but I feel like North Carolina could be a little better.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of areas where North Carolina, and that's just the thing, like North Carolina is it's the country. Like
we're still one of the first the 13 colonies.
We got Charlotte where it's like it's the city, but it's like we still in the South.
Yeah, so still a red state. Yeah, even after the last election.
Okay, so with that being in mind, like there's always going to be room for improvement here.
Yeah.
In particular, like
absolutely,
which I do feel like shouting out certain cities, like I do feel like Charlotte, they are very like welcoming of the gay community.
Very welcoming.
They're not real like
nose up.
So I do think there is areas where it's like it's acceptable, but it's also one of those things where we can always do better.
Yeah, my hometown too. Shout out Asheville, North Carolina. Like that, people like to call that like a hippie town, which it is, but I don't look at that as a bad thing. Like Asheville is has always been very liberal
Yeah.
and very progressive, and so like shout out the cities in North Carolina who are progressive and are being more open and safer for the LGBTQ community for sure. Yeah.
So how has the LGBTQ community represented? How has their representation in media evolved, and what kind of impact does it have?
I think over time, I think they are represented better, obviously, now than they did. Like, I feel like in the past, they weren't represented always in a more positive light. Like, a lot of it was
derogatory.
Yeah, a lot of it was derogatory, and so now I feel like because like the world is becoming more open and progressive and stuff, like they are being more. It's more inclusive. Like instead of it being a one size fits all type of gay or whatever, you're able to see a trans or a mass presenting woman or a more femme presenting man, and it not be derogatory anymore. Even down to like some cartoons are doing that. Like, I don't know, do you watch Big Mouth on Netflix?
Yeah.
So Big Mouth is one cartoon, like and this kind of goes back to like the educational system being more open to making the safe space. They hit on sexuality a lot. And to think like these are kids who at the beginning of the cartoon, they're in middle school, and then you're talking about how puberty and everything goes. And I like how even in aspects like that, they are it's just way more diverse now. Like you get to see all types on the spectrum, like women who are okay, even in Big Mouth, like you have women who are okay with dating men who also see men. And I like how it's just more inclusive. Yeah, way more inclusive, for sure.
Yeah, and I love them, like you said, like inserting it in TV shows just so it's not like taboo when it is seen in real life.
Yeah.
Because once again, this is real life.
This is real life.
Yeah. So you're not always going to see someone who is the same as you or does the same things that you do, but that doesn't mean that it should be demonized or like looked down upon.
Right. So. Exactly. And just while we're at it, because I don't think it's on any of these note cards, let's stop using it as a derogatory term. I think that's especially when it comes to the media, I think one thing that us as a society can do better is stop using people being gay or whatever as a derogatory term. Oh, well, you gay. Let's stop saying it like that. Because what's wrong with that? That's literally their business. So saying it in a derogatory way, I think us as a society can get better with that. And in the past, I was definitely one of those ones who was guilty of it just because of how I grew up and things that was normalized in my life. But with age and more experience and being more aware of things, I've definitely stopped doing that. So yeah, that is one thing in the media that we should
I agree with
try to do better with, for sure. What are some mental health realities that the LGBTQ community face, and how do you think we can make it more of a safe space for them to express what it is that they go through?
Well,
it's kind of two questions in one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they constantly have to be felt like an outcast. So I think being more intentional about creating safe spaces where it's okay, this is welcome. You're not an outsider. I feel like that would be very important because it's still not enough space where it's okay to be out loud. You're, I don't know, because some in some cases it's if you're a man, for example, and you're femme presenting, you shouldn't have to dim your light. You shouldn't have to dim your light or dial it back. No, I actually want to be somebody who's in your
out loud, be very proud.
So you don't have to feel you have to diminish yourself or I shouldn't have to say this or be this expressive.
To cover it.
I always want somebody to feel at least with me, you have that safe space to be yourself, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree with that. I also think that because of the history behind like the community and the acceptance of it, I think that just kind of adds to even like people coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we've had this conversation before. I think where we said, you know, people shouldn't have to come out. Like it shouldn't have to be like a Facebook post like saying, "Hey, I'm gay." Right? I feel like okay. What if like one day they just show up with a guy shows up with a guy, your homegirl shows up with a girl, and that is her girlfriend, they're like, or they just tell their close personal friends, like it doesn't have to be this whole thing. I think the whole coming out thing kind of adds to that, because I feel like that adds extra stress for some of them. Like, and I do know some in the community who don't deal with those stressors because maybe their upbringing was more open and more of a safe space, but for majority of people that I know in the community, it wasn't always like that. Like their families had to like warm up to it. So I think that adds to the mental aspect a lot, just because you always have to worry about what grandma or mom or dad or auntie or somebody may think because of their conservative thought process. And so I think as a community we should just be, again, more accepting so that they feel more safe to even, you know, come out, you know, and just be themselves, like you were saying, right? And not have to mask or dial it back for the rest of us.
When it comes to pronouns and how they're talked about in like today's society, how do you feel? Like, where do you stand on that?
Ooh, I like the pronouns. Like, I think that's kind of a weird thing to say. I get the pronouns, especially because, like, you know, I have a friend in my life who is they, them. And the interesting story behind this particular individual is we dated in high school. And we were friends before that. We dated, you know, we were friends after that. They came out gay, and then later on, you know, I let everyone know that they identified as they, them, and they're non-binary, all that stuff. And has educated me a lot. So it's like, I stand behind it. I didn't get it at first, but like I said, luckily I have proxy to people in the community so that I was able to be educated on it. But I just feel like if people were more educated on it, then it wouldn't be such a big thing. However, I do sometimes feel like, and this is not just for like the pronoun thing, I just think in the community as a whole, sometimes there can be an entitlement. They have this sense of entitlement with some things. Like, I completely understand like wanting people to respect your pronouns, but the way you go about setting that boundary can mean something as well too. Like, and you also have to be aware that, again, everyone doesn't have proxy to the community, or may be a little ignorant to the stuff. So you can't always just be so quick to maybe throw out, a phobia on someone just because they aren't educated on something, or they're just a little, you know, they don't know everything. So I do want the entitlement aspect of some of it. That kind of irritates me sometimes. But outside of that, like, I support people. Like, I'm gonna respect their pronouns, you know, whatever they do in their free time. It has nothing to do with me. But I just think with all of that, I do think sometimes there's a sense of entitlement within that community.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to elaborate on like the entitlement side?
No.
Okay. So
we're celebrating Pride Month. No shade, but I am not getting canceled. Love y'all.
So with DEI and everything happening, do you think the workforce provides a safe space for the LGBTQ community?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, some companies do. But as a whole, no. Yeah, no, I don't.
They're reeling that back.
They're reeling a lot of stuff back.
Honestly, companies are going back to their roots.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah. And it sucks.
It's not a safe space for anybody but the people that's on top making the money.
White men. It's the only person to say for is white men at this point. White men, not even you either. White men. Like, and it's crazy because, like, even going back to how, like, the LGBTQ community sometimes has to, like, hide their identity and not be out loud. I think in the workplace it's even worse. Like, they sometimes have to walk into an interview and not even you know, especially as maybe like a more femme presenting man,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know if sometimes they feel like they have to be more masculine going into certain interviews for certain jobs, just in fear that that company is like, you know, discriminatory against, you know, the community. So I don't think it's a safe space for them at all. That's why I feel like if, you know, the outside world could be more open and make it more a safe space, then maybe it could reel more into the companies. But that just goes all the way up to the top at the corporation, and you already know how that go. Yeah. So yeah. Did you feel like? Well, yeah, you said no.
No.
Yeah. When thinking about the future, when it relates to the LGBT community, how do you predict things will be like 10 years from now? Especially with everything going on currently.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I feel like we might have our, well, I won't say first because who knows what presidents and stuff are doing back then, but I most definitely like 10 years from now can see like us having our first president that's like,
yes, I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Like, quiet as it's kept.
That's why I said like I don't know what they was doing on it.
Might not be open, but I think Trump's community. And again, this is not me saying it in a derogatory term. Like I very much would like everyone to walk in their truth, right? But
Trump's on the deal.
I 100% think that Trump is a part of the community.
That's a hot take.
That is. I think him and Elon, like that whole, did you see the rant Elon went on Twitter last week?
Yes, I did.
I think we witnessed a breakup in real time.
You know they're back together now.
That's what I'm saying. I think we're witnessing a really toxic relationship
They're very
in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say, oh, I went a little overboard. A little?
A little?
A little?
What happened for y'all to make up that fast? I'm just saying. I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I have nothing against it if they are, but I do think sometimes I'm like, hey. And not even if it's just Elon and Trump. I just think Trump is, yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. We can wrap it up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that just sucks, because even if so, it's just like, dang, well, why are you so anti, like, the community?
He hates himself.
Yeah.
Shame. And how and especially the area he was brought up in, like, Trump is old. Like, he's seen a lot of racism and homophobia and sexism, and so at the end of the day, maybe he hasn't. And again, y'all, this is all allegedly.
Alleged. There's gonna be a whole bunch of red hats in the
right. I do not need the Trumpies coming for me. Lord Jesus, here comes the death threats. But you know how they get down. But that's just my own hot take, and that, you know, that's my own thing. That could be not true, but I do think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think down there.
Right. And if any of the community is watching, how did you like this episode? Even if you're not a part of the community, if you consider yourself a heterosexual man or woman, how did you like this episode? You know, do you support gay love? What are you doing to open up safe spaces for them to be more themselves and to, you know, express themselves freely? Make sure, again, y'all are coming back every single week, every Monday at 6 p.m. Sharp, honey, Eastern time. And in case you're actually watching this from my Instagram, just because I don't post it on the Instagram don't mean the video ain't up.
Okay. Turn on your notification bell.
Yes.
It's gonna drop.
Turn that bell on. Yes. And while you're turning that bell on, make sure you're liking, sharing, comments, and subscribing. And following all of our pages, which Nigel will insert there. But yes, we'll see y'all again next week.
Bye.